Well, hello, hello, hello. It's Jenny Kovacs here. I'm just turning up my volume. I just wanted to say hello and do a bit of an impromptu hangout, I guess. So if I look distracted, I'm checking Facebook, I'm checking Twitter, and trying to keep up with your comments. So earlier on yesterday, I have a group of private Facebook. Some are clients, some are friends, some are connections. And it occurred to me that so many of you were asking about Twitter. Some of you have handled it, some of you have got an account, and some of you kind of just don't know what the fuss is all about. So I wanted to share the first of very many webinars. So just to let you know, I'd planned to do this a lot earlier this afternoon, or this evening, I should say. I've just done a 3.5-hour car journey of nearly 200 miles. So I thought I could come in, chill out, relax, but I wanted to share it with you anyway. So as I just look at my control panel here, I'm just going to open up what I posted. And I guess it would help if I shared it with you. So basically, I had been on Twitter, and Twitter themselves had posted about Twitter. So at the heart of Twitter are short messages called tweets. So for those of you that are already on Twitter and are building up your community and your followers, then you'll be like, so what, Jenny? But the question that I get asked the most in terms of visibility is, what's the point? And the Twitter message said, at the heart of Twitter are short messages called tweets, just like this one. And what I am going to do for you is I'm going to share my screen so that you can see what on earth I am talking about. So if you bear with me, I will do the necessary to share. Okay. Right, for a second, you're going to get the kaleidoscope approach. And then you will see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. So hopefully you can see it on your screen right now. This was something that's posted by Twitter. Personally, I love Twitter, and I could have many more followers on Twitter. I don't yet. So this was something that they posted to educate you. So if you've ever looked at Twitter and thought, I don't get it, I don't understand what Twitter's about, why should I even be on Twitter? How do I tweet? What is Tweetering, is what I've heard you say. So first of all, it's Twitter. At the heart of Twitter are messages called tweets. And as it says right in front of me on the screen, that is a tweet or a message that fits in 140 characters or less. Okay, so they're short, sharp bursts. And I'll come back to this in a moment, just to show you a bit about what these symbols mean underneath. So what I had said publicly is I'm going to just do a little kind of a webinar just to show you around Twitter and let you know why people tweet, you know, how it works, and just really to get you started. Now, for some of you, you're already on Twitter, and if you're anything like me, I started my Twitter account in 2009. I've actually got 2 Twitter accounts, one of which is dormant, but I started it in 2009. I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know how to use it. In fact, I might have even started 2008, but I didn't know how to use it properly. And it was as a suggestion. My background is in training and coaching. And when I was working corporately as a training manager, what I actually came across was Twitter. I was on a course, I was looking at kind of up-leveling my training, and the lecturer recommended that we join Twitter. When we asked why, she just said, oh, one of the guys that works with me is quite technical and he recommends it. So that's exactly what we did. So I joined Twitter circa 2009, maybe 2008. And to be honest with you, I didn't do anything with it for at least 18 months. I didn't know what it was, how to use it, what I was doing. And a very lovely lady that I know in business, a friend of mine, I'll give her a shout out, Veronica Pullen. She was the one that I met her locally through networking. Our worlds collided, and she was the one that raved on about Twitter. So I actually spent some time attending I think it was a 3-hour, really kind of like synced class on how to get started with Twitter. So yeah, Veronica Pullen was the person that pulled me out of Twitter invisibility. And there's so many things to know about Twitter, but this broadcast is literally going to be for maximum of 45 minutes, 30 minutes for me just to give you some information. I don't want to overwhelm you. I could give you a ton of information, but I don't want to overwhelm you. And if you've got questions, you can pop them either in the box below. If you're on Twitter and know how to, I will go over to my Twitter account so you can see me. And my Twitter account, I'm Jenny Kovacs at GiftWish Ltd, and you'll find me. So feel free to tweet me a question. There I am. Or feel free to pop a question in the box below. I'll probably need to break to have a look at those questions if you'll post them live on YouTube. So let's quickly tell you why I'm the person that's talking about this. My name's Jenny Kovacs, as you can see from my Twitter feed there, and I'm known as the Queen of Being Seen. So the reason I'm known as the Queen of Being Seen is because I'm a visibility specialist, and I help you to get visible, to get seen, to get heard, to get noticed, and to stand out, especially if you're a business owner, especially if you're an ambitious, an ambitious professional person. So some of the people that I work with are entrepreneurs, one-man bands, or business owners. And some of the people that I work with, hold management roles, normally in the sales and marketing part of a company, of a professional company. So I help those types of people. And the thing that I'm really passionate about is about you being able to spread your ripples far and wide. So if you're a business owner, this is of paramount importance to your business, because if you don't get out there, don't get seen, people don't know who you are, they don't know how to buy your stuff, they don't know how to get any products or services from you. And that ultimately leads to lower sales, lower cash flow, no business, and then lovely people like you telling me that they're not cut out to be a business owner, they're no good at what they do, when actually that isn't true. The truth of the matter is you might not know how best to elevate yourself, to show yourself to the people that you really want to see. So what I'm going to do in this very short webinar, the first one of 2016, is I'm actually just going to quickly run through a couple of reasons why you should be on Twitter, what to do when you're there, how to do it, and also how it benefits not only you, but how it benefits the people that you tweet. Now, Twitter is one of many social media mediums. And my suggestion is, if you already feel overwhelmed with the likes of, Facebook and Gmail, Pinterest, Instagram, and you feel like this is just another thing to do, don't do it. But here's what I want you to do right now. If you haven't already, grab yourself a scrap of paper and a pen. I don't care if it's the back of an envelope or anything else like that. Just grab yourself something that you can quickly write down, because I'm going to ask you some questions and I want you to write down your answers to your questions. I'm not going to ask you to share them. As I say, this is very quick and easy. If you prefer Facebook and want to contact me on Facebook, I have 2 Facebook pages, but I guess the best one to contact me on for this is facebook.com/visibility vibes. So like it says on my banner there, but with an S on the end, S for Sierra, Visibility Vibes, and you'll find a page called Jenny Kovacs, Queen of Being Seen. So if you haven't already, do like the page. I periodically post up lots of different information about visibility and all sorts of other things as well. I promise I won't bombard you. So One of the things that I came across about 2 years ago now, I worked with somebody who was an author, had written a book and was looking for a big publishing house to be able to publish their book. You imagine the blood, sweat and tears for those of you that are authors or aspiring to be authors, or maybe you've got a product or service that you want to get that out there in a bigger way. Maybe you have an online program, maybe you're a trainer, maybe you're a consultant. You just want more people to know about what you do. Well, one of the very specific ways of getting out there and getting visible is to go onto Twitter. But this author that I had as a client a couple of years ago, they had written their book, they toiled blood, sweat and tears into the book. They wanted to get out there in a bigger way. And ultimately, the publishing house came back to them and said, we like your book, we like what you've done with it, but you don't have a very big social media presence. Now, as you can imagine, for the would-be author, this was like a blow. The publishing house came back and mentioned, Facebook and Twitter as just one of many mediums that they could use. Since that 2 years ago, I've seen that publishing house and many others really get their authors and their speakers to ramp up their visibility on things like Instagram, on Pinterest, as well as Facebook, and as well as Twitter. So if you want to spread your reach, especially if you have a business or something that you want to get out there in the world, maybe it's selling a product or a service, then Twitter's a really great idea, to get on there, whether you're a newbie or whether you're an established business owner. So what do you do? Once you've got your Twitter account, and as I promised, this is a very short and sharp and very quick webinar. So I won't go into how you set up an account, but if you go to Twitter, which is all the W's, twitter.com, it'll allow you to set up an account from there. So what do you do when you're on Twitter? Now, people hear all sorts of stories about Twitter. If you think about it, if something happens in the world, people refer to Twitter. If something happens with a celebrity, often celebrities are quoted as per their Twitter feed. So don't think that people ignore what you put out there. So what to do when you're on Twitter? Ultimately, and I'm going to cut to the chase, I could gloss this over and make this into a 4-hour workshop. I'm not. You need to interact and engage with people. And there are various ways that you can do that, because those people become quite big fans of your work and your brand, and they tell their friends. And when they share something or tweet something, it gets tweeted out to other people. So let me give you a couple of examples of what can happen. Now, given that there are people out there with hundreds and thousands of followers on Twitter, I have a relatively small following. I have around 1,500 people. Yet from interacting and engaging with people on Twitter, in the last couple of months, I've had people like Peter Andre, the singer, follow me on Twitter, just from a post that he put about kind of carnival time and things like that. I've also had other celebrities, and one celebrity in particular, who some of you may or may not know, Jeff Brazier, who was married to the late Jade Goody, follow me. Now, Jeff Brazier is grown into his own after kind of doing lots of reality TV and started to become a coach. So I was very flattered to be mentioned in a tweet with him, and ultimately he followed me. He doesn't follow everybody. So thank you, Peter Andre. Thank you, Jeff Brazier. I've also had interactions with people like Michael Neal, who is also a coach. Because I heavily train and coach, I tend to interact with people that I like the sound of. Sorry, there's a lot of clanking going along in the background there. And I also, I'm just going to close the door just for a second because it's distracting me. I don't know if it's distracting you. So I also remember getting a response a few years ago from Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins had shared through his email list a really touching video. And I remember just sending a tweet and saying, it was an amazing video. Thank you so much for sharing it, or sharing the information on that video. And he came back and asked me whether I was actually at the event where this interaction happened. I was absolutely gobsmacked. You know, Tony Robbins has got thousands of different people following him. And then something that sounds a bit less celebrity status wise. Quite a few years ago, I had another part of my business that actually made cakes and chocolates. Absolutely true. And somebody recommended me, somebody who I hadn't even met before, but knew my network of offline people, actually recommended me for a really big gig at London Fashion Week. So why go on Twitter? That would definitely spread your reach. There is always a myth that if you've got millions and thousands and trillions of people, that you are successful on Twitter, when the truth of the matter is everybody has to start from somewhere. So on your piece of paper, whether it's the back of an envelope or whatever, I want you to think, you know, I've talked about spreading your reach, so as being a good why to be on Twitter, especially if you're an aspiring author or you have trainings or holding workshops or something that you want to sell or a service or anything else like that. But on your piece of paper, I just want you to take a second to write why you would like to be on Twitter. What would you like to get from it? Okay. Why would you like to be on Twitter? What is it you want to do? Do you want to get out there? Do you want to spread your reach? Do you want to be able to let people know about your products and services? A very good friend of mine recently, in the last couple of months, promoted a new product, very different to what she does in her normal business. So being able to talk about it on Twitter was a really great way of transitioning from one type of business to another. You know, as I explained before, I've always been about training and coaching, but I also did cakes and chocolates. So it's a really good way of transitioning and letting people know the changes. Okay, so why do you want to be on there? So even if you just write a word or something like that, just write it down, and you can go back after this, re-listen to the replay on this. This is a public webinar, and you'll be able to just jot down your notes. So I've also recommended the sort of things that you should do. What should you do on there? You should definitely interact and engage with people. Now, a little moment ago, I showed you a tweet. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to share my screen again. I'm just going to share my screen again and hope that it's still on there. Yes, it is. So hopefully in a few seconds, you should see the tweet. Now, underneath the actual message that Twitter put on there, you'll see you've got an arrow, you'll see that you've got something that looks like 2 arrows, a love heart, and a person on there. So I'm just going to talk you through what that means. So one of the things that you would normally hear about Twitter that's associated with Twitter is people talking about retweeting. So if you want to retweet something, all this simply means is that you have either seen something, or predominantly that you've seen something that you want to share. So it could be an inspirational message. It could be a plea to donate some money to charity. It could be one of your friends wants to do something. It could be anything like that. And if that's the case, just click. Can you see these 2 arrows? Clicking on that will help you to retweet. Now, there is something that I'm going to mention. For those of you who are strapped for time, one of the best ways that I've found to use Twitter, because you've got 101 other things to do. Maybe you're a parent, you're a business owner, or you're at work and you're not allowed to use Twitter in the daytime. Maybe you've only got a 15-minute break. It could be that you're busy out in the world helping people do what you need to do. It could be that you're sat at your desk writing. Whatever the thing is, one of my recommendations is to, if you've got a phone, a smartphone, is to actually load up the Twitter app on your phone. It makes it really, really easy and quick to use. So if you see something that you like and you want to retweet it, you literally just click on the 2 arrows there and it gets shared to the people that follow you. Now, when you do this from a phone, you've got the added advantage, it will give you the option to either retweet it or to quote the tweet. If you retweet it, it will just share it straight away. But if you click on quote the tweet, you can add some words. So for those of you that are sharing tweets and you want other people to share it, even though you've got 140 characters as a maximum, I'd recommend that you share a little bit less than 140 characters. That way, if somebody wants to then share your tweet and add some information to it, they can do. Although Twitter is always changing, and recently some changes mean that you can normally still put a message of 140 characters. Okay, so that's how you would retweet if you're doing that from your phone, and I highly recommend that. And as I was saying to some of the people in my private group, a really great way of doing that would be to do it from your phone, maybe whilst you're boiling the kettle, or you might be taking a walk somewhere, you might be standing in a long queue in a supermarket, or anything else like that. That just gives you a few seconds, and a few seconds is all it takes. There are people who have got Twitter accounts who don't tweet that often, yet their followers still grow. So don't think that you have to be like a texting teenager, always on your phone, always on Twitter. And if you've got nothing to share or nothing to say, then don't feel pressured into sharing that. So the other thing that you'll see there is a love heart. And the love heart just shows in a very similar way to like Facebook, that you like something, you love a tweet. So if you see something that you really love, as I've just done for somebody who's just sent me a tweet, although he's got a picture of an egg, so I'm not sure if he's a real person or not. And he tweets in Spanish, so it's translated my tweet into Spanish, which is pretty cool. But if you like something, just press a little, just click on the love heart if you're on your phone, and it will show you that you've liked it. And that person will get a notification that you've liked their tweet as well. Okay. So then the next thing to do, you've got the little man or woman, the person there with a plus. If it's somebody that you don't know, and they've shared your tweet, as have done in this case, if you click on it, it'll automatically shortcut you just to follow them. Now, what I do recommend is follow people that you like. Maybe you like the stuff they share. Maybe if you're getting started, you're just going to kind of follow lots of people until you suss out what they share and whether you like their tweets or not. But this is a really good and quick way just to be able to do that. If you want to respond to something that somebody said, can you see on the very kind of, as you look at the screen on the very extreme, it'll be my left and maybe your right, and there's just one arrow that points. So if you want to share it, you just, or respond to it, sorry, you just click on that. It'll open up a tweet piece for you, and you would just like, you know, type in your message. On a phone, it will tell you when you are out of characters. So remember that if you respond to somebody on Twitter, it will actually show you or restrict the 140 characters by whatever their name is and whoever else is included in there. Now on the desktop, let me show you. So you can see there that there's the arrow. If I was to reply to this, you can see it already puts in my name, Gift Wish Ltd. That means that instead of 140 characters, I've now used up some, so I've got 125 left. Now, I'm not going to respond to my own tweet because that would just be silly. But you can see that that's a really great way to be able to respond. And one of the best things to respond, if you don't know what to respond, is to say, thank you for the tweet, thank you for sharing, thank you for retweeting, or R for re and T for tweet if you want to keep your characters small. This is one of the platforms on social media where you can use lots and lots of slang if you want to. So how are you going to use Twitter? You know, what are you going to do on Twitter? Are you going to interact with people? Are you going to engage with them? What are you going to do? So for example, Dragon's Den, Deepak is fielding the questions really well. So you might want to just say, that's brilliant. You might want to retweet that. And then I'm just going to type brilliant. I would suggest, though, that if you are going to do that, that you at least know what they're talking about. So my button's off the end of the screen, so I'm just going to tweet that. Okay, so that's a good way just to kind of send a tweet. So finally, how? Well, I've talked about tweeting from your phone. It is a lot quicker than being hooked up to your computer and sending things out from there. So as I say, next time you're standing in a queue doing something, just respond to a couple of tweets. And I would recommend you respond to whatever's in your timeline there. It's a really good way of seeing if you like somebody, like what they're tweeting. If you don't, you can always just unsubscribe or unfollow them. And if you were to do that, you just click on their name, and there'll be the little man with a cross, and you click on that and it will confirm, do you wish to unfollow them? And you just say yes. So how it benefits you, and more importantly, how it benefits them. Well, how it benefits you is that more people start to see you. They become more aware of you. And, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day. Don't worry if you've just opened up your account, or don't worry if you haven't used your account. Maybe you've had your account for a few months or a few years, but you've never used it before. Don't worry about that. Just start from where you are, or restart from where you are. And more people will become aware of what you do, what you share, what you like, and that kind of thing as well. And if you are like a consultant, a coach, somebody that offers a service, you might be a massage therapist, you might even be like a fashion business, you might make things to be able to sell to people. I've got a friend who makes exhibition plinths, and she's on Twitter. There is really no type of business that doesn't benefit from Twitter, as long as you feel that you want to be on Twitter. Okay, so any type of business on there, and how it benefits them is that they become more aware of you, become more aware of your brand, what you share or what you sell. And sometimes people won't see a tweet and go, oh my gosh, I'm going to buy that. But it means that they might see what you do, and they might just decide they're going to follow you, keep following you to build up that kind of connection with you. They might even start interacting with you. And then later on down the line, they could buy something. I have had one lady when I was running a workshop a couple of years ago, who was based in Birmingham, and I'm based in London in the UK, who sent a tweet as a result of something I tweeted, and basically asked me about joining the workshop, you know. So it's pretty national. It's a pretty national thing. So it benefits them, and they get to know your vibe. They get to know what you're about. But it benefits them because they see what you do, what you share, and how you share it. So we're kind of up. I know I started a little bit late, but we're up of the 30 minutes. So if you have any questions, I'm just going to go on to my Facebook page, when I can even. This is a risk, you see, when you are conducting a webinar. You're taking up bandwidth, and of course, when you start messing around online, you start to get restricted bandwidth. So you can see I literally decided, you know what, I've been sat in the car for 3.5 hours, literally just got in the door, and I posted, with a spelling mistake, streaming. What is it they say? More haste, less speed. So I'm just going to change that. So if you look for the Queen of Being Seen, Jenny Kovacs, and if you've got any questions, you've literally got the next sort of 10 minutes to put a question through. Otherwise, I'll end this and let you finish off your Sunday evening. One of the questions that I have received from somebody is they say they're not an entrepreneur, they're not a self-employed person, they don't have a business. Why should they go on Twitter? So here's what it might be. Now, there's a couple of things. If your company or the organization that you work for has Twitter, or has a Twitter handle, find out who runs that. It might be your marketing team. Now, I have a background in financial services, and many financial service companies prefer their, authorized people, marketing department to tweet on their behalf. If that's your company, then find out a bit about their strategy, because if you're on Twitter, you can still share things so that their stuff gets a wider reach. if you work for a company who's happy for you to tweet, and this is what I've done with clients, and especially retail clients of mine that I've had, if there's maybe 4 or 5 people that are that have access to the Twitter account and they can all tweet, I encourage them just to put their initials at the end of the tweet, which obviously takes up 2 of the 140 characters, but at least people know who's tweeting. Okay, and you'll see a lot of big companies do this. I know here in the UK, a lot of banks do that, a lot of public service companies, telephone companies, and people like that. Just taking a sip of water. So if you've got more than one person looking after your Twitter account, or there's more than one of you that wants to look after a Twitter account, that's a really great thing to do. Put your initials or your name, like I could put Jen, for example, or JK. Hope that answers the question. In terms of the other things, because I didn't only just talk about the why, I talked about the what. So that's what you would do. You would still interact and engage, answer people's questions. If you're working for a very big company, a lot of people will go to Twitter for customer service issues or elements. So it might be that they ask a question, even if you can't answer it or are not supposed to answer it, and I'm not condoning that you do, then pass it over to someone in the customer services department as quickly as you can, because the quicker that you can respond on Twitter, the better. It's likely that if you're working for a business and they allow you to tweet, that they'll want to know where you're tweeting from. So it might be you're only allowed to tweet from a work computer. It's unlikely that they'll let you tweet from your phone, but if it's a smaller organisation or a smaller big business, they will. How it benefits is exactly the same. More people become aware of the company, of the organisation, of the brand, of the corporation, and it helps raise their visibility. It also means that if there's any products or services that they're offering, it gets it out in front of more people. As I say, you know, this isn't a magic pill where you tweet once and someone buys 50 of your products, but at least it starts to build up the awareness. It's a very quick and easy way to do that. And imagine all those people that are maybe commuting to work on the train and they're looking at their, you know, at their phone, maybe they're on Twitter having a look. They could come across one of your products or services. They also get to know the vibe of the company. Does the company have a personality? You know, is it very starchy? Is it very, very corporate and very straight-laced? Or, you know, is it a fun-loving company? So someone who I really admired, and I had the fortune to work for or do some work for their company, a company called Salesforce.com. And Mark Benioff is the CEO of Salesforce. And he is, you know, a trailblazer. He likes to do things differently. He had Tony Robbins at his sales meeting out in Vegas. And when he wanted somebody to entertain everyone that was coming to the Salesforce conference, guess who he picked? Someone we would all pick, I guess, will.i.am. And they tweeted, there was a lot of banter on Twitter about the fun they were having and what they were doing and snippets of the songs. And although there was a promotional element of this, it was really great fun as well. So if that's your business or your company, whether you're a one-man band or a bigger organization, and that's what you want to do, why not do that too? So absolutely, if you have a business, you can use it just as successfully. If you're starting up or thinking of starting up a business, why not grow it? If you're starting a product that you want people to know about, you know, whether it's a book or whether it's a physical product or whether it's a service, there's absolutely no reason why you can't start to get out there on Twitter, one of many platforms. If it feels like it's too overwhelming and too much, then don't do it. It's as simple as that. I'm going to take another sip of water. And I'm wondering if anyone's put any questions underneath. You'll see me drinking my generic water. What I am going to do is I'm just going to check on my Twitter feed in case somebody has tweeted and asked me a question on there. I doubt it because it was very impromptu. I didn't kind of do a whole, it's tomorrow, it's tonight, it's in an hour. I didn't do any of that. Probably quicker for me to do it from my phone. I'll also just check my Facebook group who are probably quietly settling into their Sunday evening. So just in case any of you are watching, I know that there's probably about a 40-second delay. So if you are from the secret group, the Visibility Vibers, and you do have a question, please type it in underneath where I've posted for this live stream. And if not, then we finish and you get to enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening, or go to bed or do something like that. Funny because I go onto Facebook and someone sees that I'm in there. So someone just asked me a question about hashtags. Yes, they're perfectly legal. So hi, Amanda. Amanda's gorgeous. She's just the nicest, loveliest, yummiest person out there. And she's a lady that offers a service, and the service she offers helps to de-stress you in whatever area of life it is, whether it's relationship or whether it's health, well-being, peace of mind, and everything else like that. So I'm going to answer your question then. So Amanda, I haven't talked about hashtags. So she says hi. So I haven't talked about hashtags. Now, hashtags, pretty much they're really good to use, pretty much the same as you would do on any social media platform. But if you're completely new to hashtags and don't know what a hashtag is, I will show you. Let me share my screen again. I'll go onto Twitter. It seems the most sensible thing to do as we're talking about Twitter. So basically, if you put a hashtag in front of something, and I will show you live on my screen. So I might want to talk about the visibility vibe. So the hashtag is that little hash key there, no spaces, and you type whatever you want to type without any spaces or punctuation. So for example, it's always a challenge trying to spell when you're doing a live webinar. So visibility vibes, and I might say questions coming in right now. Now, here's the thing about hashtags, especially on Twitter. When you type in a hashtag, it means that if somebody clicks on that, it means that any other time that anybody else has used that hashtag, and look, there's a good one for Facebook, so I might have a little look at that, see what they've put. Anytime that anybody's used visibility vibes, it acts like almost like a folder. So if there is something in your brand that you want to use, and it could be a very kind of bog standard normal word, okay, if you put a hashtag or make it into a hashtag, when people click on it, they can see all of your content. And you can see where I was doing the 21-day to visibility vibes, where they have gone on to Twitter, because some of them were over 140 characters. You can see I've used visibility vibes. And it means that anyone that clicks on that gets to see anything that's been used on that. Now, of course, the reason to use, or why to use hashtag, is to encourage your community or people connecting with you to either, as I've done, use visibility vibes. So if you are on Twitter and want to tweet, please say hello and use visibility vibes, as the lovely Jules has done there in August. So she's made a comment about something there, and she's put visibility vibes. In fact, she made a comment and she said, great training. Thank you, Jules. Yeah, that was really lovely. Really touching when people do that. So it could be that you want to create something that's a bit obscure, as I've done, or if in Amanda's case, Amanda helps with very many things, but one of the things that people might connect to is stress. So Amanda might write a tweet that says something like, want to relieve your stress, check out, this tip. And when she puts the hashtag of stress, it's likely that many thousands of people have. You can see it also shows popular hashtags. So stress management, stress relief. If you want to promote or let people know about something you're doing that is associated with a common word, make it into a hashtag, more people will find it. Hope that helps, Amanda. Just let me know in the secret group if it does. If you've got another follow-up question for that, let me know, because we've only got a couple more minutes before this finishes. So you can see that somebody has talked about Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook, and she's made the hashtag Facebook. That means, you can see she's used kind of 4. That means when you click on there, it will show anyone that's used hashtag for Facebook, any photos, and look at that, any accounts there are, anyone else is kind of, sorry, I'm not giving Mr. Trump my airtime. You can see anyone that's used Facebook on there, it will show their tweet. Okay, and if you're using a hashtag of a word that's really, really popular, you could have thousands of tweets. Now, one other top tip, I'm just going to check that that helped Amanda. I'll take her off the screen so that not everybody's reading her private stuff. If you, what was I going to say? I just distracted myself. If you, maybe you're a cake maker or a florist or a wedding planner or work in financial services in the mortgage industry, if you want to be able to keep in contact with clients or members of the public, maybe consumers who are interested in something that you offer, then why not use a hashtag as a search facility? So if you know that what you do is great with stress, for example, or you're a financial advisor that helps with mortgages, then go into Twitter, and you can do this on your phone and search for a hashtag. And that way, see, so let's say mortgages. Okay. So if you search the hashtag of mortgages, you can see photos that people have put in, you know, you can see tweets that people have put. So 41 minutes ago, Jack Otto, home equity, you may have more than you think. And he's put the hashtag home, equity, real estate, refinance, mortgages. So the fact that he's used real estate would say to me he's probably based in the US or outside of the UK. Someone is hiring for a mortgage servicing compliance analyst. Do you know someone great? It's in Florida. Look, they're looking for a job, which they've put as a hashtag, or mortgages. So if there's something that you do that, sorry, I've just realised I just showed you a screen without sharing the screen. Let me just pop that back on so you can see it. So if there's something that you share that a lot of people may be interested in, and there's one word, so one of my friends is a speaking coach, and she does vocal coaching, she does sounding and stuff like that. She might want to put a hashtag in her message. Now, Twitter's always changing, and it changes quite quickly, but I hear that if you write a tweet and put lots of hashtags in, it kind of spams it a little bit. On Twitter, this works really well, but if you do the same behavior on, say, Facebook, it puts your post down. So I would recommend just 1 or 2 as a maximum. Okay, so if there's a specific word, maybe you're the wedding planner, the obvious word to put as a hashtag in there is wedding. I wouldn't even bother to put wedding planner. I'd just put wedding. Anybody that's getting ready to get married, they'd be clicking on the hashtag, and they'd be able to just kind of go in and find out whatever information they need. If you're a florist, same thing accounts. If you're a coach and you know that people are looking, this time of year, you might want to talk about resolutions or not. Resolutions would be a fantastic word to hashtag. And if it's one that's really, really popular, you can also see at the side of my screen here, these are some of the hashtags that are trending, which means that there's thousands upon thousands of people talking about them. So just down here, you've got Happy New Year. There's over 447,000 tweets which mention New Year. And if you click on them and you want to join on the bandwagon, you'll see people have posted pictures and all sorts of things like that. If you create a tweet, it will automatically populate with Happy New Year, and then you write your tweet, and it could be something that's discovered by somebody else. So I'm just going to double check that there are no more questions privately, but thank you so much for joining me on this impromptu webinar. what I do want to say in terms of announcement is I'm really excited about this year, not from a New Year's resolution point of view, but there's something I can't talk about due to terms and conditions that I've signed, but I will be doing a hell of a lot of webinars this year. So if you want to keep up with what I'm doing, the best way to do them, because I intend to do many of them by Google Hangout, the best way to keep in contact and keep in touch is on this very same YouTube channel, my YouTube channel. If I could ask you to click on the subscribe button, anytime something new comes out, you'll get notification of it. If you're the sort of person that likes a bit more notice than like 15 minutes, and I literally got in the house, not even 15 minutes before I started this, including setting it all up, but knew I wanted to do it. But if you like a little bit more than 15 minutes, if you check back to this video, you'll find there'll be a link underneath, which means that if you click on the link and enter your email address, I promise I won't spam you and send lots of irritating emails. But what I will do is I'll add you to a list to give you a few days notice of when a webinar's coming up. Okay, some of the topics I'm going to be covering are visibility, or getting out there, what I call the visibility vibes. That's the place to come from, how to do it in a way that doesn't kind of hack people off. I'll also be talking a little bit about sales, because it's all well and good being visible and being out there, but how do you then turn that into a sale? And that's whether you're an employee or whether you are a self-employed person or a business. One of my subjects that's close to my heart, as I mentioned earlier on in here, is that I am an ex-training manager, and I was a national training manager for a very big financial services company. I love training people. I love helping them to do things. I love helping people to get clarity. So the webinars will be ultimately about being visible, being seen, being heard, but really, you know, some of them will be more visibility orientated, like this one about Twitter. Some will be a little bit sales orientated to show you. Some of them I'll tell you about events and things that I know of, either my events or somebody else's events. And some of them will be a bit about the vibe, where to come from, how to feel inside before you kind of get out there. Because for many of you, this is really scary stuff. Thank you so much for watching. And what I do need to do, which I haven't done yet, I'll do it while you're on there, is I'll just have a quick look to see if anyone's posted any comments underneath. I'm just going to see. There's a couple of you watching now, and it's fine if you haven't. Oh, so comments were disabled for that video. So if you do have any questions, please go to either Twitter and just put the hashtag visibility vibes on there. Tweet me at GiftWishLTD. I'm Jenny Kovacs. Tweet me on that and I will answer them as and when I see them. Or even go to my Facebook page, as I say, the Queen of Being Seen. I have got two, but that's probably the best one in terms of visibility. And for those of you that are in my private group or Facebook group, please feel free just to post your questions as always in there. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you on webinar number 2 maybe. Thanks a lot. Bye for now.